This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Hello, everyone. Today is the 22nd of April 2024, and it's the first meeting for the TAG ENV Green Scraper project. Before we start, I would like to remind you that we are following the CNCF and the TAG ENV's Code of Conduct, which can be summarized to just being nice and kind and awesome to each other. My name is Kristina Devochko, and I am one of the co-leads of the Green Scraper project, together with Al Hussein, and I'm also a tech lead in the environmental sustainability tag. Since this is our first meeting, and we have actually a few more people than just me and Al Hussein, so maybe we can just take a quick round. Maybe starting with you, Al Hussein, and just introduce ourselves if you would like that, of course.
Yeah, thank you. This is Al Hussein. I'm a DevOps engineer working for Tetra Pak, and I'm very keen on working on this project to collect or compile basically the talks on the environmental sustainability in the Linux Foundation events. So yeah, looking forward to getting started.
Awesome, thanks. Would anyone else like to introduce yourself or say hi?
Hello everyone, I'm Valeria. I'm a software developer and I'm very interested in this project. I think during KubeCon we had the chance to try one of the 2D tools, the Green Scrapers, to get some talks that we were interested and we wanted to add to the slides, if I remember correctly. So I'm here. I would really like to contribute to this project.
Awesome, great to have you here, Valeria. Anyone else?
Oh yeah, my name is Eugene, and I also saw from the KubeCon 2014 in Europe. So I'm interested, So it's the topic. So that's why I want to get to know. So I joined this meeting.
Great, welcome. All right. You can also add a hi to the chat if you are not comfortable with talking. So that's okay. Yeah, I see. Nandish added that. So nice to meet you, Nandish, as well. All right, then let me share the screen. I set it up to be a half-an-hour meeting to begin with, just to get started, and then we can see. I'm gonna mute you, Valeria, because I hear your keyboard. If that's okay.
Oh yes, sorry.
No worries. All right. Shall we see? Do you see my screen now? I hope you do. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So yes, I added just a quick agenda just to get started. I think one thing that it would be nice to get out of this meeting is how often do we want to have this sync meeting for the project. And another thing is that I want to give a shout out to Al Hussein, because you have done quite a bit of work already. You have donated the Green Scraper project, one of the two projects we have now to choose from, which is luxury. But you have also been working on the workflow from the discussions we had around this project. So I think we can do a lot, and your experience is invaluable in here. So that's awesome that you had time to join. So I will just start today, and then we'll see. Maybe you would like to run these meetings going forward. I will be supporting you as much as I can, and maybe it's easier for me to take some of the logistics stuff. So it's we'll figure this out. But I just thought it would be nice to give a quick intro to the project, just for those who have never heard about it before. And hi, Leo. Nice to have you here as well. Let's see. I don't know if you have the link to the doc, but if not, you could also I added it to the chat. So the thing is that we have this nice page here on the TAG's website called Events. And here right now we have a few entries that are more or less like articles that go into more detail for a specific event and list all the different sessions that are related to environmental sustainability that are happening in that event. For example, here is like KubeCon and Cloud Native Con Europe from last year. But it is manual work right now, more or less. And what we want to do is to introduce some automation and basically to create some kind of automatic workflow that could continuously use a specific tool like the green scraper, which we have been donated from Al Hussein and Willem, which was the other, the alternative tool. And these tools basically scrape data about sustainability related talks taking place in different events like KubeCon and Cloud Native Con or Open Source Summit, for example. So we would like to have a workflow that could use this tool to generate a list of such talks. And we would then have some kind of an overview somewhere here on this page, which we will need to decide how it will look like. And then that workflow could populate that list automatically if it's possible and create the changes or update it with a pull request, for example. So this is like the overall thought of what kind of automation we could have. So what we would need to do in this project is to figure out which of the tools we will use, because there are two right now that do more or less the same. So we would need to figure out which tool we will use and how the list would look like on the website page. And also if we could, like how we would implement the whole pull request generation thing and all that. So that is the overall idea. And then you have been working a bit with the workflow, Al Hussein, and you have a very good knowledge of one of the projects. So maybe it's a great opportunity for you just to share a few thoughts to begin with, like what kind of workflow have you been working on, and like if you have any initial thoughts on how we could potentially do it.
Absolutely. Maybe it's better if I can share my screen so I can go through. I don't know if it's visible right now or.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what is the result of running this tool? Or first, what is this tool? If we just have a look here, it's simply just a bash script here. So we can see this is the scraper.sh. And yeah, it does some calls to the URLs and retrieves the data back. And once it's getting this data, or actually once I add files to or add content to the urls.txt, this is a list of URLs we have, so including the open source summit North America. I think it's happening in April or has already happened, I'm not sure. KubeCon and so on. Once this is updated, it triggers a workflow, which we can see here, that automatically updates the list and actually pushes the updated list to GitHub here, to my repository. Well, here there is no logs because it has been, I think, several months since I last time I ran this. But we can see the code regardless whether we see the logs or not. So what it does, so yeah, first thing is it runs when it's on the main branch. So when I update something on the main, so by adding a URL, for instance, in URL, and only on these paths, so we don't run it when there is no need to. And then the first thing it does is just creates a line for let's say the header of the markdown file, and then it runs the script. First, of course, it's just getting the permission to run it, and then it runs it and appends the results to talks.md. So that's how it's generating the list, and then we need to commit this file back to the repository. So if there has been some changes, then it starts with setting the user for Git, and then it commits the changes, and lastly it pushes the changes back to Git. And here, by using this GitHub token, I actually bypass the policy and just get it merged into the main branch. Possibly we can change this to creating a PR instead and getting it reviewed, maybe modified a little bit if you want to exclude some talks if they are not relevant but just got selected by the tool, and then we can do that. So it's pretty simple. There's nothing fancy here. It's just basic workflow I have created. And the result would be something like this. So this is the header that it generates, the title kind of. And then for each conference that has talks on environmental sustainability, climate change, energy, and so on, that it contains at least one of those keywords. So it puts the conference schedule link and then the list of talks. So the talk would be the talk title and the speakers as well. And this is done for plenty of the conferences already, including this is I think KubeCon China 2023, and the list go until I think 2020. This is the first URLs I have. It's from 2020. I'm not sure that we will have more talks prior to 2020. I think it's mainly 2020 and onwards. So yeah, I think that's pretty much a quick summary of what the Green Scraper tool is about. Any questions?
It to me, like from the first view, it looks like you have a lot of, or like it has a lot of the things that we could potentially reuse and apply in this use case as well. So it continuously, I have a question, it continuously updates the existing list. So it kind of doesn't overwrite the existing changes, it adds on top. Like if you say, like we populate the list for this year and then a new conference comes out, and then we would run this workflow and then it would just add to the existing content, right?
Up until now, or the current state, it doesn't do that. It's actually overrides. But I think we can do something like find the first conference schedule or look at the previous commit on main, what was the last URL, and then run basically after that one. So only the new ones. It's kind of not implemented, but I think it can be implemented, which is, of course, best practice not to run the same thing again and again.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. Maybe it will be faster as well if we get quite a long list. Then I guess it makes sense to just put something on top.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. I think that's that would be nice. We would need to have. Right now we don't have like an overall page on the website right now that has this kind of the list like is shown here. So we would need to create something like that. I think like maybe have a Yeah, that is what we will need to decide, like how we would like it to look like. Leo, you have your hand up.
Yeah, question. So I think this looks already like a very like complete. Obviously, it needs to be adapted so it works with the website.
Hmm.
But the question would be, do we plan to now move this to the website, or do we plan to sort of think about, okay, what are the use cases of looking at this list? So like, what are the users? What would you like to do with the information? Do we have all the information and so on? Or do we basically keep what we have and just move it, and then we see, okay, how is like the participation? Like, is there like any feedback? I mean, I think like both things would be like options which we can take, right? So just a question from you, how you would like to approach it.
Mm.
And then obviously like the technical things, do we want to keep the bash, or do we want to move to like a higher programming language, like another one, which like Go or whatever, Python, whatever, which might be in the future better if we have more code, more lines of code. But yeah, that's another question.
I think it would depend on how much we would want to extend it, because I think the initial thought was to have something pretty simple that just generates an overview,
Yeah.
and also has links to those sessions, because the feedback has been that it would be nice to skip going to those dedicated portals for every event, searching, because there is no like a dedicated track in many cases. So searching for that, finding the links, and all in all, it would be nice to have a single place with the links to those sessions directly. And this is still the valid feedback also after KubeCon, recent KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. So that was like at least the feedback I've heard, and also the thought I had like in mind. I think when we started this to try to achieve what's most needed and is simple, but if we think that we would need to extend it more for something more, then it's worth considering, of course, moving out of the scripting. But what do you think, Al-Hussein? What are your thoughts?
I mean, if we want to extend it, of course, it would be better to use a higher programming language like Go, and I think the other tool is written in Go. However, I'm not a hardcore developer, so I personally will stick with Bash if I want to do things basically faster. But definitely, if there are more developers joining this project, I can contribute more with the ideas and thoughts I had even since the beginning of this project. So if we have some developers, I think it would be good to already start using Go, for instance, and we implement the new things based on the feedback already there.
I think in general, this is very normal practice in development in general with any project, starting small and trying to cover what the need that we know of, and that is the need we have, that is obvious, that has come till now as a feedback, is to gather all the overviews of all the sessions in one place with direct link to every session. And for much of that, we already have a ready implementation that we could adjust and adapt to our use case, which would spare us lots of time and kind of get that initial goal achieved. And then we can always extend it. And like Leo mentioned in the chat, even if we decide to extend it, to move it to Golang at some point shouldn't take much time, because it's not much code from what I've seen, is it? I don't think it was so much, wasn't it? In
Yeah,
the
I don't
script
think it
itself.
was,
No?
yeah, it's pretty short code.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be just to try to achieve this simple goal based on the feedback we've received till now. And then in the meantime, we could of course also post a question maybe in Slack, for instance, and in the GitHub issue, and see if folks have any other feedback than that on what they would like to see on the events page. Maybe let's see if anyone has any other feedback or questions before we move on.
Most of the, can I have a question?
Yeah, of course. Of course you can.
Most of the conference will be held in English, so maybe the English can be the main language, right?
The
Maybe
English, you mean like on the overview on the English version of the website, or?
you mean the only content which is English? I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the tool checks only for the English. What kind of conferences does it check, Al Hussein?
Yeah, I think maybe referring to one of the conferences, which is KubeCon China. So the title has, I think, both Chinese and English. So basically, it just takes the title as is. So if it is written in another language, would take it as is, basically. But I think most of, if not all, they have at least an English version besides the other language.
Is it limited to specific events? Like, does it cover things like Cube Day, for example? Because I know those are small.
If we are using the skate.com, so it's the same website for stuff, then I think it would work.
Okay, so it's dependent on shed.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. All right. Now we have 5 minutes. Maybe we need to extend this meeting then going forward. But maybe since this was just an introduction meeting, just to get a bit started, how often should we have these meetings, you think? Should we have a bi-weekly meeting to begin with? Or
I think it makes sense, especially in the beginning,
Yeah.
until things are kind of settled.
Yep. Then I can get it to be a bi-weekly meeting at this time. I know there are a few folks here, like for instance, Valeria, who also mentioned on Slack that she would like to contribute. So we could maybe try in the next meeting get a few tasks settled. Now we know that we have the tool that you donated, Al Hussein, in our green tooling repo. So we will need to create a few tasks, like create an events page. And what about the workflow, by the way? The GitHub Actions workflow that you showed, Al Hussein, is it part of the whole project that was donated to the Green Reviews tooling repo?
Yes, it's there.
Okay.
And I have put a note in the PR when it was merged that we need a token if we want to automatically merge it. But I think it's better that we will have a PR and then we review it manually and approve it eventually. So we can also modify if we want to skip some talks.
Yeah, Leo also mentioned that token is not a problem. I think we've already used it in several cases, so it shouldn't be an issue to get it set up. And I think it makes sense to start with a PR so that we will see how it looks like and how much adjustment is needed. So great. Okay, I just want quickly to show before we conclude for today. I created a separate project board in GitHub in our tag repo, where we will see just the tasks that will be related to the project. So until next time, I think we could create at least a task or an issue for creating the events page, where we could also discuss how it could look like. and maybe link to the markdown file that you mentioned, Al Hussein. And then we could have one more task that would maybe be about updating the workflow so that it publishes a repo or a PR, sorry, instead of pushing directly to master. And what else? Yes, and maybe yeah, we can think about more tasks until next time on what we should add. But at least until next time, maybe if those of you who would like to contribute can think about how the events page could look like, that would be nice. And yeah, I think we'll take it from there and also discuss async until next time if we get more tasks created before then. Does anyone have any questions? Does it sound like a good starting plan?
Hi everyone.
Hello, Nandish.
So I'm kind of a functional tester, but if you do need any help on testing of some of the functionalities and whatever you're delivering, just let me know in the channel or in the space of Slack space. I will definitely, or I'm pretty happy to jump in to help you in the testing world as well.
Yeah, that would be great. We then we will definitely let you know. I think right now we need to, that can be a separate task, by the way, to set up this workflow in the tag repo, because right now we have the tool itself that scrapes the data in a separate repo. So we could have a task to get it connected to the tags repo, so we so that we could run this workflow for the tag env repo itself. And then I think when we will set up that, we could definitely benefit from some testing. We could have also a task on that, maybe where you could contribute. And
Sure.
so that sounds good. Yeah, we will keep in touch. All right, then I think if that sounds good, I think we have a plan. We'll create a few tasks in the meantime and set up a biweekly meeting, and we can chat async until then. If no more questions, I'll stop the recording. All right.